My name's Laura Bergus, and I'm a candidate for Iowa City Council for an at-large seat. Professionally, I'm a mediator and an attorney in private practice. I went to Iowa City Community School District schools, and then in high school, my first job was working for the city of Iowa City, actually televising city council meetings. So I sat through hundreds of hours of city council meetings, and I found it very interesting and engaging. And so that led to my first career, which was working for Iowa City and then for the city of North Liberty, focusing on really improving communications between the government and the people. And my community involvement also started in high school as far as volunteering. I worked at United Action for Youth on the teen line, the teen crisis line, volunteered at PATV, making video and assisting in the studio, did some Iowa City Free Radio time. As far as Iowa City, in the last 10 years, I served on the Iowa City Telecommunications Commission for 3 terms, which is a city council appointed position, and that was 9 years. I've served on Film Scene's board of directors since before it was actually an organized nonprofit. That's been since 2011, and I'm still on the board for Film Scene. I'm on the board for the Community Foundation of Johnson County, as well as the Executive Council of 5224 Good, and those are both philanthropic organizations that help connect donors to nonprofits and grant out funds to help nonprofits in our community. And I'm active in the South District Neighborhood Association, and I have a 13-year-old daughter who, while she was in elementary school at Grant Wood, I was active in PTO all 7 years that she was in elementary school. So that's just a little bit about my community service. I'm also a volunteer attorney with Iowa Legal Aid and serve on their Regional Advisory Council. Why I want to do it is because I really miss public service. So when I worked for Iowa City and the city of North Liberty, collectively, there was some overlap, but collectively probably 15 or 16 years of service as a municipal employee. And I love just being accountable fundamentally to the taxpayer. So that's a piece of it for me, is I want to return to public service in some meaningful way. I'm at a point in my professional career where, I'm a partner in my law firm and I can kind of manage my caseload and my schedule with a lot of flexibility. And so that works well as far as, again, managing the time and finding that balance. And why now? It's something I've wanted to do for a very, very long time, ever since I was nerding out to city council when I was a teenager. I have a daughter who's 13, and she was okay with it. I always told her I wouldn't run for office until she was out of the house, but I think, we've been pretty politically active also, and she door knocked with me in 2016 and 2017 for the school bond and 2018 for the midterms, and I think she could really see the passion and the potential value of me being able to serve. And it's amazing to me how the lack of affordability of living in this community plays a role in all kinds of problems that people face. And so that is very salient and very real. So I'm pleased that the city is prioritizing that issue. I would say 2 issues that run through everything are addressing the climate crisis and the resolution that the City Council passed saying we are in a crisis and that we need to ramp up what we're doing with the Climate Action Plan. That needs to inform everything that we're doing, right? The Climate Action Plan is not a silo and here's what we do for that. It needs to be integrated and woven in to everything that the city is doing. And similarly, what the city has been trying to advance in terms of social justice and racial equity needs to inform everything that the city is doing. Affordable housing, regional transportation, and mobility generally, understanding that people need to be able to move within our community and the surrounding area for all types of reasons, all times of day, all days of the week, is something that we really need to improve. And also growth. So Iowa City is a place where a lot of people want to live, and we need to make sure that people are welcome, that they have places to live, that they have places to work, and the community is going to continue to grow. That growth needs to be sustainable, both economically and environmentally. So what I mean when I say I want to improve the process really comes down to fairness. okay? And fairness is critical for every person and type of person or entity that interacts with its government and within the government itself. So what I mean when I'm talking about process is the actual steps that the city takes to carry out its mission, right, to achieve its goals. So in the context of growth, right, that might be the procedure of development, right, the rezoning of a piece of land to, the plan for how it will be developed, to the actual construction, to enforcement of things like building codes, relating to occupancy, relating to, well, we can't anymore, but wages that people would be paid in businesses and those kinds of things. There's all of those layers of the process. And what I see happening with the Iowa City Council right now is a fair amount of spending a lot of time and energy on some pretty small details that I think show the process is not nearly as efficient as it could be. The City Council is the governing body for the city, and the City Council needs to stay focused on policy and setting and implementing the strategic plan. The very, very small details need to be executed by staff. And if the council feels like the staff is not headed in the right direction, or there's not a really strong relationship built on trust so that the staff isn't really empowered to carry out the day-to-day, then that needs to be fixed. That's a systemic issue where the process needs to be improved, because the city council directs the city manager, who directs the city staff, and it should be all based on policies that are transparent and understood by everyone. Another big piece of the process is just how individuals and entities interact with their government, right? When it comes to fairness, people need to know what to expect. The process should be reliable. The process should be something that you can find out information about how it's supposed to work and have a pretty good idea that that is how it will work. So where there are areas that the City Council has a lot of discretion, right? And some policies that the city is wrestling with right now, you will hear councilors articulating this is a problem. The amount of discretion that they have relating to height bonuses on buildings and the give and take that happens with that. Conversations informed by the TIF policy and sort of where you draw the line on incentives in exchange for public benefit. Those are difficult things, and so to take the time and the energy to structure the process so that people know what to expect from the beginning will make it more efficient. And then as it's being executed, to make sure that City Council is staying with those policies in mind and not getting mired in the weeds or really micromanaging. That's what I mean. Communicating the goals and the mission of the city is something that also needs to improve so that people understand when and where in the process they can engage to actually make a difference. Because by the time a person is standing at the podium at a public city council meeting, it may be too late to address the issue that they're really concerned about. And so helping just educate the public on what the different boards and commissions are, how information comes into the city for consideration, and really, what the city's scope of authority, for lack of a better way of saying it, is. Where is the jurisdiction of things that the city can do? Where has the state changed that jurisdiction, right? And how can we really empower people to understand when, if something goes wrong, how to bring a grievance, how to, ask for help, those kinds of things. So I think the mediation skills are probably very, very important, because what that training and experience means is that I listen to very divergent and sometimes oppositional viewpoints to help find common ground, and doing that on an interest-based way rather than saying it's some sort of zero-sum game, right? It's not one person wins and the other person loses. It really is about finding common interests and solving problems creatively in that direction. And so I think, having that truly practical experience of listening in a way that is directed towards problem solving, and knowing that in that context it's balancing that sometimes the loudest voice is not the one that should carry the most weight, and being able to ask questions and to listen in a way that elicits really kind of getting to the issues rather than just how someone might be verbalizing what they believe the problem to be. And that comes from my experience and skills as an attorney as well, that sort of issue spotting, right? Like what really are the things where we can affect change, or what really might be the conflict here? Because often what presents is not the core issue that the city could really address. And so just being able to drill down to that.